A house divided amongst itself cannot stand. The incumbent party, All Progressive Congress, proved this to be true. While a faction of the All Progressive Congress and PDP legislator-elects collaborated in inaugurating Senator Bukola Saraki and Honorable Yakubu Dogara as the Senate President and Speaker-elect. Today I'm talking to the mastermind behind the like-minded senators who made this possible. Stay tuned to find out who. My name is Osasu. Welcome to today's episode.
If you don't check corruption, there is no way you can make any meaningful leap in life.
We talk about the stomach infrastructure policy.
Stomach infrastructure is simply about the welfare of the people, coming to the level of the people.
Then the mere fact that you are a minister does not make it to be criminal. No court of law has convicted them.
Welcome to another episode of the Osasu Show. Today we are talking to a former House of Representatives member and now Senator from the Kogi West Senatorial District, Senator Dino Melaye. Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Pleasure is mine.
Can you walk us through the events of June 9th, Tuesday, at the National Assembly?
And the 8th Senate convened at 10 a.m. in the morning, and the first constitutional duty that day was to read the proclamation letter of Mr. President. And Mr. President stipulated in his proclamation letter to the clerk of the National Assembly the date for the inauguration, which is the 9th, and therein also the date, the time for the convocation of the National Assembly, specifically this 8th Senate, and that's 10 a.m. So after the letter from Mr. President was read to the hearing of all senators-elect, we move to the next item on the agenda, which is a roll call of all members-elect, and that was done. And at that time, after taking attendance, the clerk of the National Assembly announced that we formed quorum, because Order 10.1 of our rules stipulates clearly that 1/3, a quorum of the House of the Senate shall be 1/3 of the members, and the quorum for the House of for the Senate is 38. At that time, we were 57. Though more members joined afterwards, and at the end of the day, we were 76 senators elected in attendance. And after that, we went to the third item on the agenda, which is the call for nomination for the seat of the chairman of the National Assembly and the Senate presidency. And Senator Ahmed Rufai Sani from Zamfara State moved a motion for the nomination of Senator-elect, as it were at that time, Dr. Abubakar Bukola Saraki. And I seconded the motion, and the clerk of the National Assembly made a call for further nomination, and there was no further nomination. 3 times he called for further nominations, no, there was no further nomination. So he closed nomination of candidates and declared Senator Bukola Saraki as the Senate President of the 8th Senate, in compliance with the extant rules of the Senate and the Constitution of the Republic of Nigeria. And afterwards, nominations were also called for the office of the Deputy Senate President, and the first to nominate was a senator-elect from Rivers State, who nominated Ike Ikweremadu, and that was seconded by another senator from Rivers State, Senator Olaka Nwogu, and There was a second nomination also by Senator-elect, as he was then, Shitu from Jigawa State, and that was also seconded by Senator Rafiu Ibrahim from Kwara State, talking about the nomination of Senator Ali Ndume. So there were two nominees, and the implication is there was going to be a contest, and voting started. And at the expiration of the voting time, Senator Ike Ekweremadu was declared winner with 54 votes, while Senator Ali Ndume scored 20 votes. And by the power conferred on the Clerk of National Assembly, he made a pronouncement declaring Senator Ike Ekweremadu as the Deputy Senate President of the 8th Assembly, who is of the PDP extraction.
I think your perspective is actually profound and unique to you and the like-minded senators which you spearhead. However, your party, the All Progressive Congress, has accused you and other party members who were present at the Senate at the moment for purposely disobeying the orders of the President when he called a meeting at the International Conference Center the day of the swearing in. So what is your response to that, and what is your response to the statement that they will sanction you and other senators who were present at the chambers on that very day?
To start with, no law was breached, and I disagree that we disobeyed the party and Mr. President, because there are procedures to invitation for meetings. One, I want to believe that the name of the president was dropped, because the president is a very responsible person, is a disciplined Nigerian. In fact, the nemesis of corruption in this country, highly placed, very indomitable, very indefatigable. And the president will not send a proclamation letter to the National Assembly for 10 a.m. and in the other hand, call for a meeting at 9 a.m. He will never do that. And for the president to call for a 9 a.m. meeting, he would have communicated the National Assembly bureaucracy in writing, either suspending the proclamation or adjusting the time. But that did not happen. There was no official communication between the president and the National Assembly. And when we made our due diligence, we found out that the Clerk of the National Assembly was ready for the proclamation. And our family members, friends, and well-wishers from all over are already in Abuja. It would have been laughable if we were not present at the chambers. So, we put up our thinking cap, we prioritized, and we went to the National Assembly. Lo and behold, we got there. The place was ready for the inauguration.
The All Progressive Congress chose Senator Ahmed Lawan and Femi Gbajabiamila as Senate President and Speaker, respectively. Can you tell us why you and your fellow like-minded senators filed this agreement?
What I have to say is that on the 9th of June, I swore an oath, having carrying the Holy Bible, to defend the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, to defend the extant rules and orders of the Senate and other relevant laws of the Federation. And the positive concomitant effect is this: every party is governed by our Constitution. Every political party is governed by our Constitution. The National Assembly is governed by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the standing orders of the Senate. And in all these three constitutions and regulations, there is nowhere that primaries for the position of the Senate President and his deputy is mentioned. In fact, it has never happened in the history of the Federal Republic of Nigeria since independence. So as a legislator, I should be seen to be respecting the rule of law. And the party ought to have operated under a constitution. And the constitution also draws inspiration from the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And there is nowhere on earth that it is stipulated therein that there should be primary for the only constitutional venue for the election of the Senate President and other principal officers of the National Assembly is on the floor of the Senate. And there are procedures to it. So the only thing that can happen is that parties can come up by consensus. By consensus, to ask people to step down for each other, then you have a consensus candidate. So what the party did was against the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It's even against the spirit of the Constitution of the party. So that was why some of us have condemned, and I don't want to be part of a nullity and illegality.
Distinguished Senator, let's take a break and we'll be right back on the Osasu Show. Welcome back to the Osasu Show. We're still talking to Senator Dino Melaye from the Kogi West Senatorial District. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Are you happy with the leadership in Kogi State so far?
The leadership in Kogi State, as I speak to you, is not only sick, but equally suffers from what I call a dreadful congenital abnormality. There is therefore an instantaneous need for amelioration, for palliation, for correction. The state is underdeveloped, the state is backward. It is sad to note that teachers have not been paid salaries for over a year, as I speak to you. It is sad to know that at the time, our wives and kids, the schools were locked up for 1 year, 1 calendar year. As I speak to you, the governor already has initiated 40% cut in the salary of civil servants. And I want to say there is no prominent project in over 2 years of the governorship of the Governor Wada administration. The state is in a sorry state. The state is dilapidated. Roads are not there. Hospitals are now mere consulting clinics. Schools are completely down. It's a very, very pitiable situation. And the state actually is in dire and urgent need of a rescue mission. And that is why I'm saying that PDP will definitely fail in the next gubernatorial election. All credit and thanks to the inept leadership and poor performance of the PDP-led government of the state.
So what are some bills that you're hoping to pass now in the 8th National Assembly that would directly impact the lives of the day-to-day citizens? Because the slogan of the Osasu Show is bridging the gap between the elite and the masses. So what are some bills that you're hoping to pass that would directly affect, the people working the market, the people walking the streets, the people, who need electricity to run their day-to-day businesses? So what are some bills that you can tell us about right now?
Yeah, I'm going to say this categorically without fear of favor, that 90% of the bills I'm going to pass will be anti-corruption bills. Because for me, corruption is the bane of our development as a nation. Corruption is the reason why we have the bad roads. Corruption is the reason why our hospitals are not working. Corruption is the reason why all the institutions are down. What I'm going to do with my bills is I am going to propose bills that will build strong institutions instead of building strong men. What we're doing in this country is that you appoint people into offices, they become strong men, while the institutions are weak. So we must get legislations and laws that will make our institutions so strong and make our leaders weak.
Can you give us an example of that?
Yeah, okay, a typical example is this. I have a bill I'm going to propose for the building of 6th Cardiothoracic Center in Nigeria. As I speak to you right now, we don't have 1 cardiothoracic center. Anybody with a heart-related disease, its survival ratio is 0. Ghana, with a population of 18 million people, have just completed their 2nd cardiothoracic center. In fact, the Minister of Finance of Ghana just had a heart transplant in Ghana. The most pitiable situation here is that we have 34 Nigerian cardiologists working in the cardiothoracic center in Ghana. So if you build 1 each in each of the zones in the country, we have 6 zones, it will help to check the issue of heart-related diseases. For example, I had a bill I proposed in the House of Reps that did not see the light of the day. I'm going to reintroduce it. And that bill is to stop medical tourism at the expense of government. I made a research at that time and I found that in 4 years, over 400 billion was expended on medical trips of political office holders abroad. A minister wakes up and says, come, my tooth is aching. And he flies to America with his girlfriend and assistant girlfriend, and in 2 weeks he's back to Nigeria and is given $200,000. If we've expended 400 billion in 4 years, I want to tell you that if you today invest 50 billion in the national hospital, Nigerians will not need to go on medical tourism to Egypt or India anymore. If Mr. President knows that, okay, tomorrow there is an emergency, I cannot fly, I cannot get an ambulance, a medical ambulance, to take me to Germany, it will make facilities available in the Nigerian hospital because there will be a need. Just like I propose a bill that the sons and daughters of all public officers, from councillor to local government chairman to president, must attend public schools. That is the only way to fix our schools. So these are some of the bills we're going to propose, and it will help in correcting the negatives in our society. For example, you can also come to say, okay, all wives and kids of public officers. There was a bill also I proposed, banning the use of generator in Nigeria, except in emergency centers like mortuary, like hospitals, you know. So if today generator will not be available in the villa, the president will fix power.
I actually disagree with you, Senator. I think draconian laws would affect more so the masses, the people who do not even have to begin with, more so than the elite.
There will be no generator for anybody, either for the poor or for the rich. No discrimination. Everyone will be damaged.
So you would say someone, a powerful man who has a generator in his house, you would have the law enforcement going to his house and actually...
Very well so. It's a law. It's a law. It's just like we've said in some countries now, they ban public smoking. You have your money. It's your money. It's your right, but you can't smoke it in public. So it's all over the world. It's like that. Laws are created to check a particular deformity or irregularity in the society. So we can also promulgate laws that will help us to awaken the consciousness of our leaders into getting it right. Just like some of us, some people in a society where rape is becoming extraordinarily rampant, capital punishment becomes the only order. You rape, you die. Because of corruption in places like China today, stealing the punishment for it is death.
Do you think that type of system would work here in Nigeria?
It will work. Nigerians are very gullible people, I'm sorry to say. When we had the government in 1983, 1984, Buhari was in power, every Saturday, Nigerians would come out and carry out what I call environmental sanitation. Most of the public vehicles had rubbish baskets in them. You can't pee on the road. You must join queues when you go to filling stations, and Nigerians respected it. Why? Because the man up there is upright and decisive about it. If a minister comes to the office at 8, the pump set cannot come at 9. But when the head is rotten, the whole body is rotten. So when he was doing this in 1983, Nigerians actually did what he wanted. Immediately left, Babangida came and commercialized the whole process and institutionalized corruption. Nigerians again went back into the garbage. So it's like that. All we just need is a leader who is decisive, who is committed, who is tenacious about getting it right, and strict adherence to the rule of law. And once we have that type of leader, Nigerians will fall in line.
Do you think President Buhari can still effect that type of change right now in 2015?
Very well so.
How so?
Very well so. Very well so he can, because the instrumentality to make it happen, they are there.
Well, we're a different kind of people now, right? We're right now running in a democratic nation, you know, so we have more...
But what I'm saying is that the law is the law. The problem we have in Nigeria is not shortage of policies, of programs, of laws, of rules. No. What the problem we have is it has to do with enforcement. It has to do with enforcement. All the regular laws are there. Don't pee on the road, it's a civic responsibility. But where you see a policeman peeing on the road, and the policeman is the one that is supposed to enforce the law. And at times in a lawless society, it becomes criminal to be law-abiding. I mean, the enforcement agents are themselves guilty. There is a law right now that you cannot spray money in public.
So even at weddings?
But now it's not enforced.
Even at
because
weddings
you see
and
a
all
governor
that?
spraying, so automatically it's broken. So all we need is the enforcement of our existing laws.
But I think that's my question. Do you think it would be harder to enforce those laws now that we're a democratic nation compared to when it was the military regime?
It is very, very possible if the leadership get it right. For example, I was passing by a few days ago and I saw the convoy of Mr. President around the Hilton stopping for traffic. The red light came on, the entire convoy stopped. And it was on line. When the green light passed, it moved. So if the president is obeying traffic, who is the IG or governor or senator or member of the House of Representatives that will beat traffic? So it's just in that layer. Once you get it right up there, it trickles down. If the head of the department is in the office at 8 o'clock, how can the secretary to the head of the department come at 8:30? It's not possible. So all we need is to instill discipline. And not only instill discipline, but enforce discipline. And I know Nigerians are very responsible people, but what we need is for the leadership to get it right. To get it right. Once the leadership get it right, man, there you go.
Thank you so much, distinguished Senator. Do you have any final words for us?
No, the final word is that Nigerians must come out of their cocoons. Nigerians must come out of their cocoons. They must become very active. They must become change agents, because in an unjust society, silence is a crime. Nigerians must start agitation. Nigerians must start speaking. Nigerians must start asking questions, and we have the opportunity of the instrumentality of the Freedom of Information Act. So we don't sit down in our cocoons. You don't say, it's not my business. My father is comfortable. We are rich. We don't even need to care. I don't give a damn who is the president, or I don't care what is happening in Nigeria. One day, those who claim they are rich, one day, the poor will have nothing to eat but the rich. One day it will become dangerous for you to drive those big jeeps on the road, because they will start stoning you. And we are getting close by. Now the frustrated, the unemployed, the poor, the agonized are now kidnapping. That trend was not there before. So what is happening now is redistribution of ill-gotten wealth. You have the money. A very comfortable person last year was going to the east, and he took Abuja taxi. I said, but you have a lot of big cars. He said, once I go this December with this car, I'm not sure of coming back, I will be kidnapped, or my son will be kidnapped. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying, the trend. So we are getting there. So Nigerians must check it. We must start speaking. There's serious moral decay. There's depletion. There's a lot of failure of values. When I was growing up as a child, houses had no fences. Houses had no fences. The houses were open. Gradually, the situation became poor. People started building their houses with fences. The only place I saw very high fences as a growing-up child is either in the zoo or in the prison yards. But these days, people build their houses with very high fences. Gradually, when I was growing up, people started using broken bottles as barriers on the fences. It became barbed wire. Now there's electric fence. This is expressing the decay in value. From beware of dogs, now you have beware of lion, beware of snakes, decay in value. So we must check it. And you can only do this through discipline. And no one person can do it. No one person can do it. All of us must come together. So everyone, including you, must decide to either walk in the light of creative altruism or will perish in the darkness of destructive selfishness.
Thank you so much, distinguished Senator. It's been a pleasure having you on the Osasu Show. I hope you do come again when next we call on you.
I will listen.
Thank you so much. Join us same time next week on the Osasu Show. Don't forget to follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can call the number below for sponsorship or inquiries. We'll see you next time.